So in continuation with that, we'll be discussing furthermore concepts. So next is properties of op amp. So in the properties of op amp, we are going to discuss the different characteristics of the op amps. So as I told, there are two categories. One is ideal, other one is practical. Ideal case characteristics are the theoretical analysis ones, but practical characteristics are which are in real time. So for our real time applications, we consider the practical characteristics. Even for the design of the any type of circuit, we will consider the practical characteristics, not the ideal characteristics. But just to know the difference between the ideal and the practical characteristics, we are going to study both of them. And also in the exam, they can ask you list the ideal characteristics of an op amp or list the practical characteristics of op amp. And sometimes they'll ask you to list the practical characteristics of op amp with their values. Then you need to indicate each of the individual parameters values. In this, the first one is the ideal characteristics. So according to the ideal characteristics, when you talk about the input impedance, it is considered as infinite input impedance, because any amplifier, if you are going to tell it's a good amplifier, it's a general fact that the input impedance should be always high and output impedance should be always low, so that if it is having input impedance as high, it will accept less input, and when the output impedance is low, it is going to give high output. So this is how we will try to increase the gain. Otherwise, if the input impedance is less means, and if it is vice versa, if it is in the other way, so obviously it's not an amplifier, it's an attenuator, because it is reducing the gain. Input was high, and if it is giving the output as low, it's reducing the gain, so it acts as attenuator, not as an amplifier. So ideal characteristics tells infinite input impedance. It will be having the op amp will not draw any current from the voltage source. uh, when we consider the op amp, we tell that the the impedance or the resistance offered at these two terminals will be infinity. That much high resistance will be there. There is one more uh, reason for this also. In the morning class, we just discussed about the internal structure of an differential amplifier. Can anyone remember what was this? Which can you tell me to which terminal of the transistor these two inputs were given? To which terminal of the transistor these two inputs, inverting and non-inverting terminal, were given?
Base.
Base, sir.
Base,
Yes.
sir.
Yeah, base. So we always know that in BJT, bipolar junction transistor, when you talk with respect to emitter base collector, we tell emitter is heavily doped, this is moderately doped, this is lightly doped, and current is always microamperes. It will be in terms of micro, this will be in terms of milli. When current is in terms of microampere, obviously what will be more? When current reduces, what will be more?
Voltage, sir.
Resistance will be more, no? Because when we current and resistance, when we talk, current is in the current which is flowing through this is less, means obviously there is some opposition to flow. That opposition itself is our resistance. Even though ideally we tell that no current will flow through the op amp, practically some minimum amount of current will be flowing through it, that too in terms of micro or nano amperes. So because of that, we tell input terminals will offer high impedance, high resistance. So ideally speaking, it is going to give, it will not draw any current. So we tell the input impedance is infinity. Next, zero output impedance. So zero output impedance means here at the output side, the resistance which is offered for the from the op amp for the output to go to the load will be zero. So there is no opposition for the current to flow through the to the output. See, output voltage of an ideal op amp, basically it's not dependent upon the current drawn from it. So here obviously we tell R is equal to 0. When resistance is less, automatically we tell that the current flow will be more. And don't get confused, we are not talking about load. We are talking about the resistance which is offered by the op amp. See, whatever we are discussing now, it is the characteristics or the parameter related to op amp. Don't think that without the resistance, how you will get voltage at the output. See, for that only, we'll connect a load. When you connect a load, you'll get the voltage across it, because any of opposition offered by the op amp is zero, so current will flow easily. When this current flows through this load resistance, obviously voltage will be produced. This is how, and don't get confused with these two. So output impedance is zero. Next is the voltage gain. Voltage gain is infinite. So that means even if you give a very small amount of very small amount of input also, the output will be maximum, or even the input is zero also, it is going to give the gain. So it will just like if you take Vi and this is V out and gain V naught by Vi always. So if input is zero, so what will be the gain? Infinity. So in that way, it is told, but it is only ideally possible. If you get that much infinite in the voltage gain, nobody will give input only. So that's why input. This is ideal value. Practical value is 2 into 10 to the power of 5. So 2 lakh is the loop gain we are having. For that purpose only, in order to reduce that gain also, we are going to use a negative feedback. Negative feedback is used to reduce the gain, because all the time we don't require maximum gain. Depending upon the applications, we need the gain. So that's why we connect a resistor. We will be connecting a resistor here. No, this resistor is connected to control that gain and to decide that gain. So ideal value of voltage gain is infinity. And next is infinite bandwidth. So bandwidth is, it is a range of frequency over which the output will be maximum. If you remember, we had an open-ended experiment for CE configuration. You are getting the frequency response like this, and we used to take 3 dB downwards, and we were marking the points, and we are finding F1, F2, and F2 minus F1 was giving the bandwidth, because we are considering the frequency between F1 and F2, because over this range you can observe the gain is maximum, because along y-axis it is indicating gain. So if you are operating the op amp between this range, it will be maximum. But here they're telling infinite bandwidth means starting from the beginning to end, it will for all everything it will be maximum. So that much wide bandwidth is there, but it is practically it is not possible. Practically, we find out by this formula f2 minus f1, and that is our bandwidth. And even we take 1 by root 2 times or 3 dB downwards, because we just compromise with a gain to enhance the bandwidth. So that is what being done. But ideally, we tell the bandwidth is infinity. Next is the perfect balance. So perfect balance means even when suppose if you take this op amp is a differential op amp. As we know, differential op amp is going to take the difference between the two input signal, and it is going to add some gain to it, and it is going to give the output. The formula for the the output will be V naught is equal to, the general formula is V naught output voltage is equal to gain into input voltage. This is the formula. So for gain, it is A. Gain is A, and input voltage. See, input voltage is, we are having two inputs, V1, V2. So since it's a differential op amp, it takes the difference between two, V2 minus V1. Suppose if you are giving V1 and V2 with equal voltage, what will be the output voltage according to this formula?
Zero.
0. Output will be 0. But this is only ideally possible. Practically, even though you take it from uh, same power supply, they'll be showing some difference because of maybe the problem at the power supply terminal end, or it might be problem with the patch cord, whatever you are using. The output will be never 0. It will be showing some or the other voltage, which we call it as offset voltage. If you might have observed in the lab also, in the signal generators and all, we have an option called offset voltage. So whenever we want to manage the perfect balance, see, perfect balance, we use that offset voltage knob. I used to tell, uh, I don't know how many of you remember it. Few of them came to lab actually. So there, I used to tell the offset knob should be always kept to 0, because we are not going to have that much of uh, precision. We don't require that much of precision value. We don't require. So that's why we are not using it. But whenever we want a particular exact value and we want to balance something, we need to use that knob and we need to adjust it. Coming back to this, practically it will not be 0. It will be somewhat some 0.01 millivolts, like that. By using this offset voltage button, we can nullify this. And this 0.01 millivolt, no, that is known as offset voltage. Even though in the display it will be showing this is also 5 volt, this is also 5 volt, but actually 4.9 something will be flowing in this, 5 point something or 5 will be flowing in this. But in the display it will be showing 5 only. So that is the mismatch that occurs inside the circuitry or at the terminal and so on. But ideally speaking, we tell when equal voltages are applied to both the inputs of an ideal op amp, the output will be 0. So thus, ideally speaking, it's having a perfect balance. Then after this, the next parameter is CMRR. So CMRR means it is common mode rejection ratio. Common mode rejection ratio. Even this is told to be infinite. See, in common mode rejection ratio, first of all, let us understand what is common mode rejection, common mode signal. Then we'll go for common mode rejection ratio. See, we have two terminals coming back to the same op amp. We have an op amp. To this op amp, we need to give inputs from a power supply, and we have a dual power supply. So what is dual power supply? What do you mean by dual power supply? Hmm? Whatever you have used in the lab is a dual power supply. The big power supply box you had now, DC power supply. Nobody knows?
Sir, just two
So it is a
separate
box which can give
voltages.
both AC and DC, sir.
Okay.
Two separate
Some
voltages, sir.
separate voltages. Okay. Fine. Say dual power supply means usually power supplies, whatever we will be using, they cannot have AC and DC together. Either it will be AC power supply or DC power supply. Dual power supply means it will be multiple number of output terminals will be there. In our lab, in the ED lab, whatever we have used last time, we had a fixed power supply of some 5 volts, and we had some variable power supply, two variable power supply terminals from where we used to take the output. So this is known as dual power supply. At a time, it acts like 2 or 3 power supply. You can take the output from here, here, here. This is fixed value, but this is the variable power supply terminals which you are having. So that's why we call it as dual power supply, not trial or the trial or something else, because this is fixed. Only these two are dual. Now, even though we take the output from, okay, let me tell like this. See, from this power supply, we are getting the input. So I'm going to connect from one terminal. I'm going to connect here, and from the another terminal, I'm going to connect here, and you'll be having some display here. It will be showing, and again, you'll be having a display for this also. Even though I have given this connections from separate terminals, but this terminal belongs to same power supply, and that power supply uses same internal circuit boards, and even that is connected with a source, AC source, that is a common for the entire power supply. Here, if suppose inside this power supply, because of some mismatch in the circuit, or some capacitor has gone or some resistor has gone in the internal circuitry, because of that some noisy signals will be generated. from unwanted. Anything which is unwanted is noise, whether it is having some nice shape or not. If it is unwanted, it is noise only. So even though it will be showing 0 0 here, we have in the display, it will be showing that 0 volt 0 volt. That means we have not given, we have not set any input voltage, so we have set it to 0 volt and we have connected here. But because of this internal noise which is present in the power supply, that noise will be commonly added to both these terminals, and that signal will be flowing through this terminals. So even though there will be 0 volt in the display, 0 volt in this display also, that internal noise is coming and adding up to this op amp's terminal. Such signals which are common to both the terminals of the op amp are known as common mode signals. They're unwanted signals which are getting added up. And because of that only, finally we'll have some offset voltage also that we'll discuss later. So the capability of an op amp to reject such common mode signals is known as common mode rejection ratio. This is the general uh, way of telling the capability of an op amp to reject the common mode signals. That means even though some signals are coming, unwanted signals are coming, this op amp will not accept it. It is not going to allow that current to enter into the inside this op amp. So that is common mode rejection ratio. Usually, in ideal case, we tell it is infinite, but usually it is not infinite. We measure it in terms of 90 decibel. We define that in terms of decibel. So we tell practically it is 90 dB. That means whatever you do, some unwanted noise will be there. But many of the times we will not bother. But whenever we are working on some very precise circuits, or we tell them as precision circuits. We have some topics in this next upcoming chapter. We call it as precision rectifiers. So there and all, we have to get the outputs from the zero only, 0, 0.1, 0.2. From that only, the diode should start conducting. But if you remember our normal rectifier, which we have studied and which we have done in the lab, half-wave rectifier, full-wave rectifier using diode, there we were having a loss of 0.3 or 0.7 based because of the drop of the diode. But when you are talking about precision rectifier, they are going to start conducting. Those diodes are start conducting from the 0.1 volt itself. So they are not going to drop any voltage. So in such cases, we have to look in for nullifying this common mode signals. But in our normal experimentations and all, we are okay with that some 0.1 or 0.2 volt difference. That is fine. But whenever we are working for precision circuit, we need to look into. The other way of telling the common mode rejection ratio as a definition is, it's the ratio of differential gain to the common mode gain. So differential gain is given by AD and common mode gain is given by AC. AD, it is because it is related to V2 minus V1. AC is related to V1 plus V2 by 2. So this is what happens whenever we talk about common mode signal. Common mode voltage, during that time it is going to take the average of the two inputs. But whenever we talk about differential voltage, it is going to take two different difference between the two inputs. Okay, so that we'll discuss in the next parts in detail. After this, the next one is slew rate. So we tell the slew rate is infinite. slew rate is infinite. That means it is the rate at which the output changes with respect to input. The rate at which output changes with respect to input is known as slew rate. You have a device here and you are giving input here and output here. If you are telling slew rate is infinite, that means as soon as you start increasing, instantly it will be increasing. If you increase here, suddenly it will increase here. Yes, it will suddenly increase in our lab also, but we don't we are measuring it, we are observing it in terms of seconds, not in terms of milliseconds or nanoseconds. To that level of observation we cannot do. But when you start analyzing it with respect to that much accurately, if you want to see, there are digital CROs, digital cathode ray oscilloscope. Whatever we are using, it's a normal cathode ray oscilloscope. There are digital CROs that is also available, I think. Already they might have shown you, at least in online, in Unlock Circuits lab. So we are having digital CROs where you can observe everything. So that much precisely you can observe. Slew rate is infinite indicates that as soon as you start increasing, suddenly it will increase. There is no delay between input and output. But practically speaking, there will be some delay between input and output because the device takes some time to process it and give the output. So there will be a delay. But ideally speaking, slew rate is infinite. So that means the output changes simultaneously with the change in the input voltage. After this, the next parameter is PSRR, power supply rejection ratio. Power supply rejection ratio. So power supply, in the power supply rejection ratio, this power supply rejection ratio, we tell it is 0. That means the ratio of change in the input offset voltage to change in the power supply voltage, keeping other power supply constant. We define like this. But actually power supply rejection ratio is 0, indicates irrespective of any changes in plus VCC or minus VEE, there will be no change in, or there will be no effect to the input signal or the output signal. That is what the power supply rejection ratio will tell. If you want to tell it in terms of the formula, we are having PSRR is equal to delta VIOS by delta VCC, keeping VEE constant. This can be done vice versa. You can replace VEE and here VCC. So change in input offset voltage occurs with respect to change in VCC. See, input offset voltage itself is an unwanted thing that is going to happen. As I told, input offset voltage is the voltage which you are going to get even when you set the input supply to 0. Even when you set the input supply to 0, there is some small amount of leakage voltage or the noise which is flowing. That is the input offset voltage. So here power supply rejection ratio tells that with respect to change in VCC, there will be change in this input offset voltage. But practically speaking, there will be some effect of plus VCC over the input, but ideally speaking, they are telling it is 0. That means it is not going to add any such noise, I mean unwanted things, signal, and there will be no effect over the input level. So these are the different parameters which are related to the ideal characteristics. In practical characteristics also, the same parameters are there. But here we are going to just tell the values. Whatever the definitions we have studied for ideal, no, the same definitions you'll be telling. But along with that, you need to tell what is the practical value. Coming to the voltage gain, here we call it as open loop voltage gain. So there we told the voltage gain is infinity, but practically it is not infinity. It is maximum we can get 2 into 10 to the power of 5. This is the open loop gain. So open loop gain means when you have not connected any feedback. Without any feedback, you are going to get this much amount of gain. We connect the feedback to reduce that gain because we don't require 2 lakh gain for any application. We don't require that much high gain. So we have to connect a feedback from the output terminal to the negative terminal. We connect a feedback. Then this 2 into 10 to the power of 5 will start dropping down, and based upon how we tune that feedback resistance, the gain will be set. Can anyone tell me why we usually connect the feedback to the inverting terminal? Why not to the positive terminal in op amp? Because you have already done experiments, no? That's why I'm asking.
So could you repeat the question?
We are going to connect the feedback resistance, this feedback resistance to the negative terminal of the op amp. Why you will not connect it to the positive terminal of the op amp?
So I said that virtual ground concept.
Virtual ground concept is fine. After that, that is how actually we are getting the output.
Yes, sir.
I'm asking why you are connecting here only. Why can't you connect like this through the positive terminal? You can observe, no? We are connecting to the negative terminal only always.
Yes, sir.
Why is that?
Is it because to control the
gain is infinite, sir, so you need to reduce the
Yeah, that's why I'm telling I'm telling you the gain is infinite. That's why we are using feedback resistance. Okay, that you can use a feedback resistance. Why can't you connect it to positive terminal instead of connecting to negative terminal? What will happen if you connect to positive terminal? This is my Viva question.
So is it because the feedback and the positive terminal will be at the same potential? If you connect it also, there's no use. It won't flow.
Oh, okay, you ground the positive terminal. Or you can give any input. You can give here also, but still you connect
is
here.
it
Yes.
to reduce the gain of the op amp, sir?
Yeah, it is to reduce only. I'm only telling, no, it is to reduce. Why can't you connect to positive and reduce?
If you connect it to positive, it will increase instead of reducing, sir.
Why?
So because it will add to the output.
Is it because it is positive, that's why it is adding up?
Yes, sir.
See, the reason behind this one is if you go for any core company R&D company, you can get this kind of questions like unlock devices and all. If you go there, you'll be getting this kind of the questions. See, basically, whenever you connect the feedback to the inverting terminal, during that time, it will be considered as negative feedback. If you are going to connect the feedback, hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you connect the feedback to the positive terminal or the non-inverting terminal, it will act as positive feedback. While discussing the oscillators, I told in feedback there are two types: positive feedback and negative feedback. Positive feedback is going to further increase the gain, but the negative feedback is going to decrease the gain because it is going to, since it is going to have a phase difference of 180 degree whenever you consider AC signal. So during that time, we will be attenuating the signal. But if you connect it here, since the input and output signal will be in phase, the gain will further increase. Already we are having 2 into 10 to the power of 5. If you further increase, the other devices cannot withstand this. Even though you can have a very high withstanding op amp, it cannot, the receivers or the loads cannot withstand. So this is the open loop gain. But by using the feedback resistance, we are going to keep on reducing this to our required level. So finally, we'll come to 100, 200 to that. So you can just imagine where is 2 into 10 to the power of 5 and where is 100, 200. Okay. Because our system requirements, device requirement is only that much. 100, 200, maximum 500. 500 times the input. Okay, 1000 times the input, but this is 2 lakh. So that is too high. So we always go for negative feedback to reduce the gain. If you go for positive feedback, it will further increase. That is the reason. So always remember, even in the exam also, so don't get confused. You need to connect always to the minus. Don't remember like I need to connect 2 to 4, so 4 to 7, like that. You should know why it is connected like that. Now coming to the this next is input impedance. In the input impedance, ideally we told it will be around it is infinity, but practically speaking, it will be in terms of mega ohm. So typically it will be greater than 1 mega ohm until 2 mega ohm, and this can be further increased by adding some external resistance. Also, we can further increase the input impedance. Next, the output impedance. This output impedance, we were telling it is 0, but it is not 0, but still it is minimum only, but it is not 0. It will be around 100 ohm, nearly 100 ohm, and at least some 75 ohm it will be there. Next is the bandwidth. So bandwidth was told to be infinity, but bandwidth cannot be infinity. The range is from 1 to 100 megahertz. So or you can typically 1 megahertz. So that's why in the lab also we used to tell those who are done in the open-ended experiment. I used to tell you need to take the values till 1 megahertz or 2 megahertz.
Yes, sir.
So that's why, because after this your gain will be almost 0. But ideally speaking, it is told infinity. That means if you go for 100 megahertz, 200 megahertz, 1000 also, the gain will be constant. It will not be like that. Once you cross 1 megahertz or 2 megahertz, the gain will drop. Why it drops? Again, for that we have a reason which we'll discuss in other chapter, because of the coupling capacitors and a junction capacitor which is having reactance, and also we have parasitic capacitance which is having reactance. Because of all those things, it will oppose the further increase in gain. So obviously the gain has to reduce. And after that, CMRR. So as I told, CMRR practically it is 90 dB. It is not infinity. Coming to the sleeve rate, we told sleeve rate was the infinite sleeve rate in ideal characteristics, but practically it is 0.5 volt per microsecond. That means in order to just show a variation of 0.5 volt, it takes microsecond. If you have increased the input by 0.5 volt and you want it to be reflected over the output, then it takes 1 microsecond. That much time it will take. But we cannot observe through our eyes at that level, in microsecond level. So we will think that yes, I'm increasing here, there it is increasing. But when you are going to observe with some instruments, we'll come to know. This is the sleeve rate. And the last one is the PSRR, so power supply rejection ratio. This one also, there will be 30 microvolt difference per volt. If 1 volt of VCC or VEE is going to vary, there will be effect of 30 microvolt in the input. So that is the offset voltage will be added up at the input level. So this is the additional, the practical characteristics. So we'll stop it here, and in the next class we'll continue.